The cloud. All right. Hey, Kathy, how's it going?
Hi, Andy. How are you?
Good, good. It's good to see you.
Good to see
You guys know me. I'm Andy. I'm one of the pastors here. I'm sitting here with Kathy Teater. Kathy, tell us who you are.
My name is Kathy Teater, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. I've been in practice for about 8 years now, and really enjoy my work and look forward to talking with Andy about just how the pandemic has affected a lot of different relationships that we have.
Yeah. So this is just our first time meeting. Is that right, Kathy?
Right, that is correct.
No, it's not correct. You have seen me more than you probably wished you would have seen me, right? Catherine and I are not shy in saying that we are and have been in couples counseling for a long time, and in fact, I think it's probably why we're still married, which is a really good thing. And so Kathy has become personally really important in our own marriage, and we have recommended you, Kathy, to a lot of people in the congregation, as you know. So we now have a whole series of mutual friends as well, which is really awesome.
That is, yes, and it's been a pleasure walking with you and Catherine and every client that you've sent. It's always joy working with couples and just individuals and just anyone who's got the same faith, because it really makes my job a lot easier when we can bring faith in the room. So
absolutely.
Always enjoy those couples or individuals.
Well, you are a person of faith, Kathy, right? You want to tell us a little bit about yourself with that?
Yes. My faith is very strong. When I went into marriage and family therapy, just learning about relationships, I didn't have a real strong relationship with God. I'll be honest with you. I put my hiney in the pew at church on Sunday, and it wasn't really anything I leaned on or depended on or prayed or even had that relationship with. And as I went through the therapy program and learned about relationships, it really opened my eyes to my relationship with the Lord and just how important and how much he can fill my bucket and comfort me and provide for me. And then also the hard work that he asked me to do, because there's sometimes that he asked me to do things that are difficult. But that's part of relationships. That's the part that we have to understand, is there's wonderful gifts that come out of them, and there's really hard stuff too. So
definitely both of those things. So, Kathy, I've given you free reign. I was like, here, take some minutes of the sermon. Tell us what we need to know about relationships, and specifically, maybe getting through them right now in these crazy times.
Yeah, and I did a lot of thought about that, and it was like, during the pandemic, what's really happening and what's really, what's our everyday life changed like, and really what it comes down to is the relationships that we're closest to got intensified. So we're all in that lockdown mode, and we're spending more time together than ever before. With that is lots of opportunity for bonding and lots of opportunity for stress. And we're, as humans, when we get stressed, our empathy and compassion can go out the window. It's like I'm stressed. And so the next thing you know, my capacity, my tone, things like that seem to take a hit. And so I think that for me was kind of being able to talk about some of the bonding things, but also, highlighting just how hard and how the stress of the situation can have us take it out on the people that we love the most. So
that's always fun, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. So what you kind of asked me, you're like, what are the couple of things that you really feel like would be helpful in, helping couples or, like I said, individuals, just relationships in general, through these stressful times. And so the three things that I kind of, felt like was the biggest tool, kind of tools to have on your belt is to think about how positive we look at our partners, or how positive we look at our children, and how positive we look at the situation. Actually, I'll use this example from yesterday. I went out to start my car and it didn't start. And I could have easily taken that negative tone and be like, great, I got to buy a battery. I had to cancel some clients. I mean, it was pretty hectic for 2 hours. But if I look at the positive side, my refrigerator was still running, my sink worked, there's a lot of positive that I, can see, but I could focus on that one negative. And that's sometimes what we do with our partners. We will tend to, oh, they forgot the dry cleaning, but we forget that they put the kids to bed last night, or they mopped the floor the day before, or did dishes, or gave me a compliment, or said something nice. So sometimes we forget the little things and just really focus on that one negative. And so that would be, as we're spending that much more time together, there's going to be that many more bids that couples do. And, again, relationships in general, families do together. And just trying to make sure that we're real mindful of what we're highlighting, what we're keeping in our minds as, kind of like positive sentiment towards that person.
Yeah. So when you say bid, what do you mean by that, Kathy?
A bid is anything that we do that is towards our someone that we care about. So it could be saying thank you. It could be offering to get them a glass of water. It could be just smiling at them. I mean, anything that says, hi, I see you, that says that you're, not just walking by them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And we do positive bids and we do negatives. I can flip my hair and slam a door. That's a negative one. I can also be very, thankful and grateful to my partner, and, very, very complimentary to my kids, and things like that that are encouraging to them. So those are the different kinds of bids that we can give.
Awesome.
So after, kind of looking at that positive piece of it, and then I also feel like it's important to talk about how we, if disagreements, arguments, sometimes fights, if how we go about solving that is in not fair ways, if that makes sense. If we tend to use what I call power cards, which is kind of like when we do things that are, to get power versus really try to solve a problem. That's another thing that tends to come out in stressful times. We tend to do a lot of more arguing when we're stressed, a lot more disagreeing, a lot more defensiveness, a lot more attack. And those are things that you have to be very careful, because number one, we don't have the coping and soothing things that we used to. We used to be able to go to the playgrounds. We used to be able to, go for, shopping. We used to be able to get out of the house, and now we're kind of cooped up. You can still get away from each other. You can still take timeouts. You can still do healthy things. It's just a lot of our coping mechanisms. A lot of times we're, doing things that we're out of the home or with other people. So looking at our fighting style, looking at the way we fight, making sure those are done in healthy ways.
So you said healthy ways. Is there such a thing as a healthy way to fight?
Yes, there is. Every couple fights. Everybody fights different. Some people, when they go to fight, it's more of a, hey, can we talk about this? And they could be some little attitudes going back and forth, but they still stay in those conversations and they keep going on them. Some people are more talk for a little bit, process alone, talk for a little bit, process alone. Those are fine too. There's, people that, they kind of go, okay, we need a new car. And they both kind of retreat to their corners, use their processors, and come back and make a decision. Mm-hmm. Everybody is different about how they do conflict resolution. They just have to make sure it's done in helpful ways, not harmful ways. Conflict is good because we don't, if I have a couple that walks in, or if I have even family members that walk in and they're seeing the world the same, I have somebody that probably isn't using their voice. They're probably not speaking up. I have maybe somebody that's got a stronger voice. That doesn't, we're made in relationship to be both people, not just one. And so, being able to have a healthy debate, a healthy disagreement, a healthy argument is important.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. Did you hear that? That's good news, everybody. It's okay to fight. It's good to fight even sometimes.
Yeah.
So what are the main things we avoid? What are like the main things to avoid when you are in a fight?
The main ones would be again, those power cards. They're things that are immediately done to have that impact on the partner, to either try to get them to shut down, or get them to leave, or get them to go into fight, flight, or freeze. Yeah. It can be name calling. It can be the absolutes. You never, those things. The word you itself is a trigger. because it means that, they're going to come after that person. We bring in our friends, but my friend said, my mom said, those don't help. You two are having the decision. The nuclear part, where people just go to the famous divorce card, which is always harmful. Those are the big power cards where they're really not about figuring out what kind of car we're going to buy. They're more about getting the other one under control. Yeah. And those are really, really harmful.
Yeah, the better you know somebody, the better you know how to push their buttons, right? Is that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We can, when you turn it, when the argument goes from a car to personal, we're into the power play. We're immediately into kind of trying to, get our way or get that person shut down.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So yes, those are the ways that it can be done, in harmful ways. And then the healthy ways is being able to show validation and being able to let both people say kind of what's on their mind. Try to have empathy and compassion in those discussions. Just because we have empathy and compassion doesn't mean we see it the same way, but we can see it from whoever's speaking's way, and being able to have that. There's not just one way to solve a problem. There's multiple ways. There's multiple ways to get from here to the school. Everybody goes a different direction, and it's okay.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. That makes sense. That's good.
Yeah. So, on that note, though, we all know that some of those things that we talked about in the beginning kind of go awry, that we all get to that, what we call kind of intense emotional place where we get flooded, and we can throw out a you never, a name, things like that. And when that happens, the most important part, it's not that that stuff never comes out, it's that we repair the relationship. We just don't act like those things just happen in life, but we really come back and say, if I had to redo, this is what I would do different. If, yes, I was angry, and yes, I was upset, but I could have chose to walk away, or I could have chose to do something different. So the third thing to make sure everybody's got on their tool belt right now is repair. I will, for myself, know that when it was really intense, when I was having to work evenings and my kids were both home, because we, there in March and April, we pulled everybody in. So that shifted me, and working late in the evening and then having to get kids to bed. And I was short with my kids, and I wasn't as patient as I like to be. And I did a lot of repair work in that time. It's okay, because I was at my maxed in, because I was watching them during the day and then trying to work, and it was just a crazy time. But I had to be humble enough to say, wow, mommy was grouchy last night, or, mom was really short-tempered with you, and mommy wishes she would have been more patient with you, so that they can really see, that sympathy and empathy, that what happened to them wasn't right. It happens, but it's something that we can all repair from.
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's so much wisdom in that, and that lines up so well with the faith too, right? To say, like, we all screw up, right? We all do. Yeah. And being able to own that and say, like, hey, listen, I messed up, because everybody around you knows, right? People know when you're messing up. They know when you lose your temper. They know when you do something that's not nice. Yeah. So just being able to say, like, hey, listen, I'm sorry. I did do that. Right. You're not crazy, and work towards trying to make it right. That makes a lot of sense.
Yep. And it does. And there's a freedom in it too, because then I'm not spending the next 3 or 4 hours or next 3 days with my, perfect mom stick, beating my head against the wall, beating myself up for, not being perfect. It's like, God, I got to forgive myself too. Because we all have stressful times. We all have stressful events, and it's important that we get forgiveness and offer, empathy and compassion, but we also need to give that to ourselves. Yep. We also need to be okay with that.
Yeah.
So, so those were kind of my 3 things that were kind of like tools to have on the tool belt. The most important part, though, overall, is that just staying connected with your partner and your family members, and keeping those relationships really clean, if that makes sense, in the sense of just having the air clean of resentment, having the air clean of, I'm not shying away from you. I'm willing to step in and say, how are you today? And not fearful that you're going to remember what I said to you last night, keeping the wavelengths open, if that makes sense, and keeping that dialogue going.
Yeah.
So, and again, relationships are hard. And that's the sad part about a lot of things is we all think that with relationships, everything's just supposed to always go smooth and we're just always supposed to get along and we'll live happily ever after. And the reality is they take work. And I know, just like we were talking about with when we started the conversation, you said, tell us a little bit about your faith. And I'll be honest, I was enjoying my faith, but I wasn't working in it. I get so much more out of my faith when I work on it. And we get so much more out of relationships when we work on them. And so it's hard work, but it's worth it. The payoff is, worth every ounce of energy that has to go into it. So.
Awesome. Well, Kathy, tell me this, if we're just like itching to know a little bit more and to go a little deeper on this, what can we do? What are you doing this Wednesday, Kathy? So
this Wednesday, I'm available. Would you guys possibly like to learn more?
Yeah, that's awesome. So Kathy's going to join us for the exchange on Wednesday, 5:30 to 7. It is not too late. Even if you missed the first one, come join us. Kathy's going to be doing some more teaching and some interactive stuff in small groups. I'm thrilled, Kathy. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It's been great talking with you, and I'm so glad that you were able to share some of your heart and some of your expertise with the congregation here.
Glad to do it, and look forward to seeing everybody on Wednesday.
Yep. All right. Hey, thanks.
Bye-bye.